Bonjour tout le monde. 10 things never to say in French. If you are learning French, then you should avoid using these 10 things in French, especially in some specific situations. Because if you use these 10 things in French in some specific situations, then you will be considered as uneducated or a person who doesn't have manners. Now, what are these 10 things which you should avoid using in French? Let's check it out. Before we start today's French lesson, if you are new to my channel, then do subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell icon. Hey, just a short message to all the French learners. So the registration for our complete A1 French course has already started. So our complete A1 French course is starting from 28th of December. This course has been designed for those people who are looking for a job after passing French levels. And this course is also designed for those people who are going to Canada and for those who are trying for Canada PR. So if you are one of them, then to know more about the details of this course, you can call us. So there is a calling number given in the description. So you can call us after watching this video. So let's start with the first thing. Using tu with strangers. Now you already know that in French, tu means you. But we should not use tu with strangers. We should not use tu with people who we do not know or with whom we are not familiar. This is one of the biggest mistakes which people usually make in French. That they think that if somebody is younger than them, then they have the right to address them as tu. No, that's absolutely incorrect. If you are meeting any stranger, if you are meeting anyone with whom you are not familiar, then instead of using tu, you should use vous. Vous, which also means you in French, but vous is a formal way of addressing somebody as you, and tu is an informal way of addressing somebody as you. But if you are speaking with children, then in that case you can use tu, even if you do not know those children. But never use tu with an adult with whom you are not familiar. So do not use tu with strangers, otherwise you will be perceived as a person who doesn't have manners. Now the next thing which you should avoid using is using bonne nuit for goodbye. Now this happens especially in the evening time when after a meeting, when people leave, so they usually say bonne nuit when they want to say goodbye to someone. But if you want to say goodbye to somebody, especially in the evening time, so at that time you shouldn't use bonne nuit. Even in the night, you shouldn't use bonne nuit. We should always use bonne nuit when we are about to sleep or when we are about to go to our bed. At that time, we can use bonne nuit. For saying goodbye to somebody, either you can use au revoir or you can use bonsoir, which also means good evening. Now the next thing is using garçon or porter to address any service staff. Now if you are sitting in a restaurant and if you want to get the waiter's attention, then don't call out as excusez-moi garçon, excusez-moi porter, because they don't like to be called by these terms garçon or porter. Instead, use this. You can use monsieur. You can use monsieur, which means sir. So from next time onwards, if you are going in a restaurant and if you want to call any waiter, then use this, monsieur, excusez-moi monsieur. The next thing is when people say je suis excité to indicate excitement. Now more than 90% people make mistake here. When they want to say I am excited, so they use this phrase je suis excité, which means something different in a different context. So this phrase je suis excité has a sexual connotation. It has a sexual meaning which is used for adults. French has no direct equivalent for the phrase I am excited. So whenever you are excited and if you want to show somebody that I am excited, so never use je suis excité. Instead of this, you can use this. J'ai hâte de. J'ai hâte de. That means I'm eager to or I'm looking forward to. For example, j'ai hâte de te voir. The next thing is when someone uses je suis chaud or je suis froid to say I am feeling hot or I am feeling cold. So whenever you want to say I am feeling hot or I am feeling cold, we never use être verb in this sentence. Instead, we use avoir verb, because if you are using être verb in this sentence that I am feeling hot, I am feeling cold, so what you are doing is you are doing word to word translation. So if you want to say I am feeling hot or I am feeling cold, so you need to use avoir verb. So if you want to say that I am feeling hot, so say this: j'ai chaud. If you want to say I am feeling cold, then you can say j'ai froid. J'ai froid. I am feeling cold or I am feeling hot. The next thing is when people say je suis plein or je suis pleine, to mean they are full. If someone is asking you to have more and at that time you are full, so do not say je suis plein or je suis pleine, because as I said earlier also that you cannot do word to word translation. It is incorrect if you say this sentence. So instead of using this sentence, you can use this: j'ai fini. J'ai fini, which basically means I have finished, but in this context the meaning is I am finished. Or you can also say j'ai assez mangé or j'ai trop mangé. That means I ate enough or I ate too much. Next is when you use de la glace to request ice. So if you are sitting in a restaurant and if you are asking for ice cubes, and if you say de la glace to the waiter, then the waiter would ask you which flavor of ice cream you want, because glass basically means ice cream. So if you are asking for ice cubes, then there is a different word for that. So for that you can ask des glaçons. Des glaçons, s'il vous plaît. Des glaçons, s'il vous plaît, which means ice cubes, please. The next common mistake which people usually make is when they use je suis to tell their age. Now what they are doing here is again the same thing. They are doing word to word translation. If you keep doing word to word translation, then this kind of mistake will keep happening. So for telling age in French, we use avoir verb, which means to have. So if I want to say I am 35 years old, so I would write this: j'ai 35 ans. J'ai 35 ans. So if you do the translation of this sentence, so the literal translation of this sentence is I have 35 years old. I have 35 years old, but in reality the meaning here is I am 35 years old. So that is why I keep telling people that you cannot do word to word translation. So according to French grammar, in order to tell your age, we need to use avoir verb, which means to have. Next is when you ask for change with j'ai besoin de change. So when you want change for your large bills, so don't say j'ai besoin de change. Otherwise, the listeners may think that you need fresh set of clothes. Instead, you should say j'ai besoin de monnaie. So, j'ai besoin de monnaie. That means I need change. J'ai besoin de monnaie. Now the last thing, but not the least thing, using the verb visiter in reference to people. Now this is one of the biggest mistakes which people usually make. So whenever you are going to visit your friends, so never use visiter verb at that time. Like je vais visiter mon ami Paul, but I am going to visit my friend Paul. That's not correct. We do not use visiter verb for people. We use visiter verb for places, for monuments, for sightseeing, not for people. So instead of using visiter verb, use this verb. Voir. Voir means to see. Voir means to see. Like for example, je vais voir Paul. Je vais voir Paul. That means I am going to see Paul. That is correct. Je vais voir Paul. You can also use the expression rendre visite à. That means to visit, especially a person, to visit a person. For example, je vais rendre visite à Paul. That means I am going to visit Paul. So these are those 10 things which we should avoid using in French, especially in some specific situations. If this video is helpful for you, please do like this video, and also please write in the comment, is there any other thing which we should avoid using in French, especially in some specific situations?